In this lesson, we're going to be talking about alternate data streams. Now, alternate data streams are another place in the file system where you can store data and it's attached to a primary data stream. The alternate data stream actually doesn't show up in the same way. Now, there's a number of reasons for doing that, and the primary reason historically has been to store resources. So in 1993, when Windows was created, or Windows NT was created, and they created the NT file system, what happened was they needed to support resources, things like icons, for example, because Apple stored icons in a resource fork in their file system. So what ended up happening was Microsoft needed to support this idea of resource forks to get things like icons or other types of resource information, and so they created these alternate data streams. Now it's 20-something years later, we're still doing alternate data streams. We don't really have the same need to support the Apple file system that we used to, so let me just show you how we're going to go about doing this. So the first thing I want to do is some text into sample.txt, and I can do a dir on sample.txt here. You can see it's 12 bytes. So now what I want to do is echo some more text that is hidden, and I'm going to redirect that into sample.txt colon, and that's how we do an alternate data stream, is I say colon, and I'm going to call it hidden.txt. Now, if I do dir sample.txt here, it still shows 12 bytes. So let's go to Windows Explorer, and you see sample.txt, and that's 12 bytes. So why is it 12 bytes? Well, the reason is because dir by default doesn't recognize alternate data streams, and it certainly doesn't take an alternate data stream into consideration when it's calculating the size of a particular file. Now, with Windows Vista, Microsoft added this /r switch, so I can do sample.txt here. Now you can see that there's the alternate data stream there, and it's 32 bytes, although the summary at the end still shows one file of 12 bytes. So how am I going to get access to this? Well, normally I would do sample.txt, just send it through the type command, and type would type what was in that file out to the screen, and you can see that there. If I do that, though, with hidden.txt, I get an error. So I have to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to use a utility called more, and I'm going to send the alternate data stream to this program called more, and what more would do would be to show a page of text at a time, and if I wanted to do more of that file, I would have to hit a key like the spacebar, for example. So I can redirect that file into more, and you can see that it's showing the text of the alternate data stream. Now you'll notice I'm using command line utilities or command line tools so far. Don't despair entirely. I've actually got one here that I can use that's graphical. Notepad actually supports the alternate data stream file name syntax or file name notation. So now I can open up Notepad and you see some more text that is hidden. And I've opened that up inside of Notepad. Now, why as forensic investigators or forensic examiners do we particularly care about alternate data streams? Because they're great places to hide information. And even more than that, antivirus programs don't always check alternate data streams to find information or find viruses specifically. I would need to be able to check myself. And of course, I could go around and do dir/r all day long and get my information that way. Or I've actually got a utility from the Windows sysinternals team called Streams. And Streams allows me to check alternate data streams. So I can run Streams against sample.txt and get the same piece of information. Now, Streams also gives me the ability to, you see the -s there, I can use -S to recurse subdirectories, which means I can look through every subdirectory underneath where I am. So I could do streams -S:\\, and that just says look through all of the directories, or basically every single file on my C drive, and show me everything that has an alternate data stream attached to it. So again, why do we really care about that necessarily? Well, something else I can do here is I can take this streams executable here, and I can redirect it into sample.txt : streams.exe. And now, if I do dir/r sample.txt, you can see that I've got a streams executable that's hidden inside that text file, or in an alternate data stream of that text file. That seems like a problem, right? So I've got this executable there that I can't see, that somebody malicious could be storing there for use later. Well, there's some good news here. So normally, how would you run a program? You would just do sample.txt : streams.exe. Gives me an error. Well, I happen to know that there's a utility called start that will allow me to launch things. So we're going to try start. And start says, yeah, I don't know what that means. So let's just try to give it the full path, just in case that's the problem. And I get another error there. The reason for that is because Microsoft has recognized that there's no really good legitimate reason for launching executables out of an alternate data stream. And they recognize the fact that malware creators are storing, or have been storing, their viruses and worms and other types of malware in these alternate data streams, so they can avoid detection from antivirus software, and also not be seen by users because, again, Windows Explorer and DIR by default don't actually show these alternate data streams. So what did Microsoft do? Microsoft prevented the execution of programs or executables from alternate data streams. In order to execute this, you would actually have to pull the stream out of the alternate data stream into its own file as a primary data stream and get access to it that way and launch it directly from the primary data stream, at which point it may get recognized by the antivirus software and maybe get caught that way. So again, with Windows 7, Microsoft has prevented the direct execution of programs or executables from alternate data streams. But you can see there's a lot of potential for storing other files in these alternate data streams that may not get detected through normal tools or utilities, or just users looking around on the file system. So that's alternate data streams and some of their uses and how you would go about creating and potentially detecting them.